Last hour, President Trump has arrived in Israel after Hamas released a group of hostages that have been held for the past 2 years since the attack on the Nova Music Festival. Israel is preparing to release around 2,000 Palestinian detainees and prisoners as part of the ceasefire, which is pulled together by Trump himself. So he's just come off the plane there in Israel. More than 500,000 Palestinians are returning to their homes in northern Gaza. Of course, it is now in ruins. Hundreds of aid trucks have arrived to give food and medical supplies to those in need. It does feel historic, Yasmin, yes?
Well, of course it's historic, and peace is always better than war and violence. I'm incredibly relieved for the families of the Israelis who've been held and they didn't know how they were, whether all of them are alive. So it is a historic moment. But we can talk about the Trump thing later.
Yeah.
I think for now we just have to focus on that.
Well, people are going back into Gaza and there isn't Gaza.
There's nothing
There's no
left.
Gaza left. About 80% of buildings have been flattened. So the key question is how that gets rebuilt, I guess, Albie.
It will get rebuilt, but it's going to be a lot of hardship and hard work to get to a place where Gaza City is actually inhabitable again. I mean, listening to some of the accounts of Gazans who have returned back home, I suppose what's left of it for the first time feeling safe for years, is that there's really nothing left. They don't have any access to water, so they don't have any access to electricity, don't have any access to telecommunications. A lot of the hospitals have been destroyed in this awful war between Hamas and Israel. This is what happens in war. Buildings get destroyed. It's a horrible thing.
If you were Palestinian in Gaza, would you not blame Hamas for starting it? You could say, oh, Israel have behaved in a terrible way and they've flattened us. But actually, we know how it started, don't we? Which is that those paragliders coming over and attacking the Nova Music Festival.
Well, look, even Donald Trump himself has said this conflict has been going on for centuries. Yeah. I think it's quite reductive when people make the argument that Hamas started this on October 7th. What have Israel been doing in the West Bank?
I'm asking
yes, Hamas.
Not to be inflammatory.
No, I know you're not.
Because I wonder whether, if you're Palestinian, the key thing is you have to stop Hamas taking charge again.
No, I don't think that's the key thing, Jeremy.
Well, we do have to do that.
We have to stop there. I mean, Albie's right. It didn't start on the 7th of October. And what happened on the 7th of October was a terrible thing. And it did, lead to what is an abominable number of deaths and terrible misery on the Israeli side as well. But you can't just go with this chronology.
I'm just saying this is Hostages Square, as they call it now, in Tel Aviv. And it's been pretty full throughout the conflict. And with, by the way, quite a lot of criticism of Netanyahu among hostages' families. So that's a live shot. Look, I wasn't trying to pick a fight there about Hamas. I'm just saying that if you're Palestinian, you just hope they're not going to be in charge anymore. Because if they are in charge, Yasmin, then Israel will see that they believe they have a right to go back in.
Either we say, you can't, people of Israel voted for Netanyahu. Let's remember that. Democracies produce all kinds of horrible results sometimes. And secondly, it's not just Hamas, because actually the Palestinian Authority in the left bank is also being put under terrible pressure. Last week, settlers burnt 1,000 olive trees. The settler problem is one of the key issues we should be talking about too.
Well, I think that is actually, some of that may be included in this peace deal, which is actually more elaborate than it looks at first glance. Let's talk to Angela Epstein, friend of the show, who's in Jerusalem now. And I don't know if you've seen anything of Trump, but I mean, my goodness, it must be an exciting day there.
Well, hello to you and to the panel. It's a day of immense mixed emotions. Haven't seen him, I've heard him, because I'm about 10 minutes away from where he was going to the Knesset, the Israeli parliament, and the sky has been buzzing. So obviously there is immense relief for the families and the loved ones of the hostages, the pitifully few that are being returned. 20 are being returned. Remember on October the 7th, when that vile atrocity was carried out by Islamic extremists, the terrorist organization Hamas, genocidal killers, 1,200 people at Nova and the kibbutzim along the front of the Gaza border. So lots of people who today will be remembering those who aren't coming home. So there's a day of real mixed emotions, I would say. I've been walking past people this morning are glued to their phones. There are still pictures of the hostages everywhere. I think it's too soon to talk about what will be. I would pick up Yasmin on the point about Netanyahu. Remember who elected Hamas, the people of Gaza. In 2005, Israel pulled out of Gaza. 2006, Hamas took power. 2007, they start firing rockets at Israel when they could have built a flourishing state for the Palestinians there. So I think if we're going to go down the democracy route, remember that democracy also took us to Hamas. And I would also say on this day of reflection, sadness, jubilation, so many emotions today, Jeremy, for all the innocents caught in war. Obviously, principally, we're talking about the hostages, but anybody who has been killed in the process of war, as that's what happens in war. We have to remember that this was not a war that Israel wanted, and that today, amongst the prisoners that are being released as part of the deal, 250 Palestinian prisoners who are serving life sentences. These aren't people who nick cars. If you remember, the architect of October 7th, now dead, Yahya Sinwar, who was the man behind, the monster behind October the 7th, he was previously released as part of a prisoner swap when Gilad Shalit, the soldier who had been held hostage, was released. And taking hostages breaks international law.
Right.
So we have to remember what frames all this. And today, the pictures of the hostages returning is just.
I was going to say on that score,
so much.
we showed some while you were talking, but without explanation, for which apologies. So I understand. Let's just see these again. Right. That these pictures, I don't know if you can see them at your end, Angela, but they are
yes, I can.
released by the IDF, and those are the people who are not blurred are hostages being released. Is that right?
Yes, that's absolutely right. And the thing is that these are, again, it's the oxymoron, it's the sadness and the jubilation. Look how emaciated and brutalized they look. Remember also, Jeremy, there are 28 hostages that are hopefully being returned as part of the deal, who'll be returned, to put it bluntly, in boxes. Now, if we put it in the context of the UK, imagine if 48 hostages were being returned who had been kidnapped and brutalized at the Glastonbury Festival, and 28 were returning in boxes. That's mass murder.
No, understood. Yasmin, come in on this.
That's why
Angela,
it's such
Yasmin wants to speak.
I completely understand and sympathise with the hostages and their family. But you forgot to mention what Israeli newspapers have been saying in the last 2 years, and reminding Israelis that Netanyahu helped with Qatar to set up Hamas in order to split the PLO. Let's please tell the full story. And it was never a war.
I have heard that,
Okay.
but is that not ancient history now? Or,
No. It's absolutely true. It's in the Israeli papers. Look at the Israeli Times.
Might well be true.
No,
Might well
it's
be
not.
true.
It is
All right.
true.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it if I didn't have the information validated.
OK, Donald Trump is expected to
well,
speak
hang
at
on.
any moment in Jerusalem, but this is what he had to say before he got onto Air Force One last night.
The Muslim and Arab countries are all cheering. Everybody's cheering at one time. That's never happened before. Usually if you have one cheering, the other isn't. The other is the opposite. This is the first time everybody is amazed and they're thrilled, and it's an honor to be involved. And we're going to have an amazing time, and it's going to be something that's never happened before.
Yeah, even presidents have to hold umbrellas. How about that? Angela, thank you very much indeed for talking to us live from Jerusalem. We're asking about Mr. Trump and whether he's made the world safer. 0207 862 2222. Get your calls coming in now. The president is expected to now travel to Egypt to meet with other world leaders to finalise an agreement aimed at ending the war. By the way, Bridget Phillipson, one of our ministers, said this deal has partly been done by Britain, and she got quite slapped down by the Americans for that. Donald Trump claims he has stopped or prevented many wars during his time in power. I think it's up to 8 now. Do you think he's made the world safer, Albie?
Without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt. I can't even believe we're debating this on the day that we've now seen, I believe, all the hostages released. We've seen a ceasefire in Israel and Gaza, something I wasn't expecting to see this week, and an end to the killing and bloodshed in that part of the world for now. And I think if in a year's time, Jeremy, we can be sat on your show and there's been no further bloodshed in Gaza, we're on the way to a two-state solution, there are no more hostages taken by the Israelis, I'll come on here in a MAGA hat.
Well, we might remember that. I don't know. I mean, you don't give Trump the credit, Yasmin, no?
I don't give Trump the credit because he could have stopped this far sooner. The only reason, one of the reasons, he's taken this kind of action is because Israel overstepped the mark and went and attacked Qatar.
I think that's true.
Qatar
Yeah.
is an ally of the United States. And
Well, I think he gave him, it's not so much that's the only reason he did it, it gave him leverage over Netanyahu.
no, he's the most powerful man in the
Sure.
world. He could have stopped
Okay.
supply, if nothing else.
So why didn't Biden stop it then? With
But
that?
no, I would agree with you. But since Biden is no longer in power, I said this about Biden all the way.
Yeah, and also
not
he
give
hasn't
Trump
stopped
some
rushing
No,
Ukraine.
I don't. Because
Okay.
he could have stopped at least some of those 63,000 people, which I think the number's actually higher, from dying. The children who are dead. He could have done it. They
But he's
kept
done
on.
it
And you know,
now.
the majority of Americans today, according to Pew Research, are against Israel getting US weaponry and assistance.
It's interesting.
Today's research.
Okay, after the break, your calls on this. Has Donald Trump today made the world safer? The president has arrived in Israel where he has met with Prime Minister Netanyahu and declared the war is over in Gaza following a peace deal that he has orchestrated. He signed a book and he wrote, "This is my great honor, a great and beautiful day, a new beginning." So there he is with Israeli politicians, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Israeli hostages are being released by Hamas. Displaced Palestinians are returning to Gaza. Palestinian prisoners are coming back, about 2,000 of them. The Jerusalem Post, oh, there it is. This, gosh, I don't feel I see his handwriting very often. A great and beautiful day with the famous signature. The Jerusalem Post has this on its front page: "God bless the peacemaker," with a big image of Trump. So he's getting a lot of the credit. This is if you're a politician, these are the days you live for, Albie.
He deserves the credit. Look, it might not make Yasmin or lefties happy to hear this, but the simple fact of the matter is Donald Trump's method of diplomacy in this particular moment worked, and he brought a ceasefire that I don't think would have been able to happen under any other
How
president.
did he do it? Do you think he was threatening?
I think he's got this strongman energy about him. I think your assessment about Qatar was probably right. But he was able to almost bully Netanyahu, let's say, into the position that Donald Trump and the Americans wanted him to be in. Because actually the ceasefire deal has been on the table for quite some time. It's only now that Netanyahu has decided to accept it because of what Trump and his diplomats.
Yeah, but the other argument, the other argument is Netanyahu says we've now knocked down 80% of the buildings in Gaza. Now's the time we accept a peace deal. And as the Roman Tacitus said, you make a desert and call it peace.
Exactly. And also, we must remember, see, I don't trust Trump at all, because part of this whole thing, do you remember his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, 15 months ago, said, and this was reported in the press, the Gaza beach strip is really good real estate.
Well,
and yet, 2 days ago...
We know Trump thinks that.
2 days ago, Jared was there.
Because he negotiated the Abraham Accords when Trump was in
Jared
power.
didn't.
The last, yes,
Jared
he was a core
but this
part
is-
of the team that
but, listen,
negotiated
I
the
do not-
normalisation of relations between the Arab world and
I do not
Israel.
believe they've acted in good faith. I think they're going to grab sections of
What,
Gaza.
and build resort there?
Yeah, and I really don't trust them.
Okay.
Now, here is the thing.
'Cause you were
let me say this. I hope I'm completely wrong.
Well, you were on this show when we showed you,
I know,
for the first
and that's what I
time,
think some of that is
that
going to happen.
famous film called Trump Gaza.
Yes, we were both here at the same time. I
and
remember.
you did get upset, I remember. Anne in Surrey, hi.
Hello, good morning.
Does Trump deserve the credit?
Yes, he does. 100% he does. This would have never happened without him. It might be a bit late in the day, but it has happened, and I sincerely hope that we do finally have some kind of peace in the Middle East.
How has he done
obviously-
something that, let's say, Joe Biden couldn't do? How has he done it?
Well, he is famous for being the deal breaker, and I think he has negotiated a deal with the Arab states, with Egypt, and also cracked the whip with Netanyahu that it's time to stop. I genuinely thought that this would never end until Gaza was complete ashes.
Well, it is almost complete ashes now. I mean, what about the?
Sorry?
I was going to say it is almost complete ashes now, but leaving that aside, Yasmin is worried about this idea that there may be, and I don't want to misrepresent you, but there may be a plan somewhere to get the Trump Corporation into the resort area and build a beachfront resort with Trump's name all over it. Do you worry about that?
Well, I personally think that the fact that the Arab states are involved with the rebuild and the funding, potentially, that I think there's a massive danger.
Also, if Palestinians wanted that, then they can have that. That's the point. If the Palestinian Authority says
they can have many choices, they're the most powerless lot. And also, it's really important to remember that this interim council that they've created is a totally colonial body.
It's got Blair on it.
You know, how do you create an all-white, non-representative council of government?
Does it matter that it's all white?
It does. Of course it matters to Arab people. Of course it matters.
Well, the Arab states have agreed to it.
Let's not even talk about I've written over and over again about the Arab rulers, how utterly, except for Jordan has always stood by Palestine. The others have betrayed Palestinians more than anybody else.
Right. And thank you. Nick in Devon. Is this a great day for Trump, Nick, do you think?
Well, hello, Jeremy and panel. Nice to speak to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me on. Well, yeah, I think it depends what your definition is of saying that the war is over. I mean, certainly the battle's over, but as far as the Middle East war is concerned, it's been going on for a considerable number of years, and I don't think anybody seriously can sort of believe that it's actually finished, unfortunately.
Well, we had this in Northern Ireland, and we thought it can't be over, and you know what? The people who were building the bombs have now forgotten how to build them. And you just have, if you have a period of peace, you may be able to get away from this awful time.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I mean, let's celebrate the fact that the fighting's finished. Well, hopefully it's finished anyway. But there's a slight question mark on that, but hopefully it has. But I do think that, at the end of the day and everything, all of those thousands of young people that were going to grow up with revenge in their hearts, unfortunately, in Palestine, is now, they're going to play their part in the years to come, unfortunately.
Yeah,
and
I think you might be right.
Trying to sort of square the circle with that. How you do that, I don't know, because I don't believe, there will be peace until we have a proper partition of the Palestine, of the old Palestine country.
Yeah, well, it's thank you, Nick. There's a thought, it's just if somebody with, as Nick says, revenge in his heart gets into the state of Israel and assassinates a leading politician, we could think of. You could see it all kicking off again.
Absolutely. And that's always been my concern throughout. And when I've been critical of the Israeli position on this and what I think has been a disproportionate response to the awful events of October 7th, it has been, is Israel's actions not breeding the next generation of Hamas terrorists? They might not call themselves Hamas, but that ideology that these people in Palestine are feeling oppressed and are living next to an oppressor doesn't go away by bombing them. If anything, it makes that feeling stronger.
That's got to be the worry, yeah. After the debate, we're taking more of your calls on this. Has Donald Trump made the world safer? I gather just hearing that all the living hostages are now released. 0207 862 2222 is the number you need. See you shortly. Calls on whether Donald Trump has made the world a safer place. 020 782 2222 is the number. He's currently in Israel, where a ceasefire is in place and all living hostages have reportedly been released. It is, for him, a great day. Later today, he heads to Egypt to meet other world leaders to confirm the rest of the agreement on how to keep peace in the Middle East. So is Trump the peacemaker he claims to be? We can speak to Kai in London on this now. Hi there. Oh, Cal, I'm sorry. Hi, Cal.
Morning, everybody.
What do you think?
The answer to the answer to the question is no. I mean, I don't know what they signed or what this agreement is, but Palestine is still not free from occupation. It's still not, still apartheid state, still under occupation. It's still being humiliated. I mean, basically, this is Gaza's short history, and in reality, it's still the biggest open-air prison, still the largest concentration camp, and has been the largest weapon testing facility for the West's weapons. So
it's at least not under attack. It's not under attack now. That you missed that out.
Is it still not? I think in reality it's still it's just a pause in reality from my point of view. And on top of all that, America's funded the war.
Yeah.
So the co-conspirator of all this, everything that's been going on, it could have ended in January if you wanted it to. No.
Albie?
I just think that point of view does not take into account the fact that all the living hostages have been released. You have Gazans going back to their homes, and yes, a lot of them have been destroyed, 80% of buildings have been destroyed, but they're able to go back to safety for the first time in years. I've seen video testimony of Israeli children talking about how great it is not to have to be worrying about the fact that they might get bombed. You know, Gazans cheering the streets of Gaza City because there's a ceasefire. Surely Donald Trump deserves some credit for bringing about this outcome.
And Kel, look at the pictures we're showing are of aid trucks getting in for the first time. That's good too, isn't it?
Well, I mean, the aid trucks could have been going in every single day during the war was happening in reality.
Not in these numbers.
Going back to the hostages.
There was a starvation. He's right. There was a starvation policy. They weren't giving them water. I mean, I'm going to now burst into tears. Are we really going to say that all that and we don't care?
Yeah.
At least we've now got Donald Trump smiling.
You're making the point that I'm trying to make to Cal, which is that it was very bad and now it's not quite as bad. That's a measure of Trump's success.
That's not his success. He could have, as Cal says, stopped this 15 months ago.
Thank you, Cal. Ian in North Ayrshire. Is this to Trump's credit, what's happened here?
Good morning, all. Before we burst into the stars and stripes, let's look at the facts here. The previous caller is right in saying when America has managed the war on behalf of the Israelis. Now, you need to look at 65 or 70,000 Palestinians have been blown to bits. Where is the evidence to say that we can absolve the Israeli government of the genocide? Nobody's talking about that.
Yeah, but hang on,
talking
today,
about the poster boy.
Well, Ian, today surely is just about that they've pulled back and stopped. And, you know, you can say, well, they shouldn't have been there at all in the first place. But in the end, they were, and Trump has stopped them. And that Trump has stopped Israel bombing Gaza. Now, isn't that in its own way a good thing?
Yes, Jeremy, it is a good thing. But before we get too euphoric, this is the first phase in a 20-point plan.
Yeah.
The Hamas are still fighting a different clan in the ruins of Gaza.
I saw that. And that's a fascinating subtext, is that Hamas may be under pressure inside Gaza from other Palestinians. But let's see if they hang on. Thank you, Ian. Nicholas in Gloucestershire, you're pro-Trump. Hi, Nicholas.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
I can, yeah. It took a while, but yeah, you're there.
Okay. I can't help but say thanks to Trump for what he's done, because I hate people fighting. And, you know, as they say on that Love Island show, you should always go to bed with a resolved issue, but they've been doing this for a long time. But I can't help but feel that Trump is a bit of a puppet.
Trump's a puppet.
Says he isn't. I think he's being controlled and told what to do. He just doesn't come out with the right words at times. Which
really? Because I think, I mean, even his sternest critics, of whom Yasmin would be one, may not think he's a puppet. I don't know. Do you think he's a puppet?
I don't know.
Who's operating the puppet strings, Nicholas?
Oh, by the way, sorry, can I just say to the panel, welcome and hello, because you've got such a fantastic panel on today. Two of my favourites.
Right. Thanks, Nicholas. Carol in Derbyshire, hi.
Hiya, how are you all this morning? Good morning.
It was nice to hear from Nicholas praising the panel. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I don't think you give him a bit of credit, I suppose, but also he can't spell. I don't know if you noticed, he made spelling mistakes in what he wrote earlier on.
Did he? What? I didn't see it because it was very thick text in a marker pen. I didn't see what What did he misspell?
He misspelt beginning. He spelled it with an B-I-G and not a B-E-G.
No.
Yes, and my Texan husband here, Freddie, thinks it's hilarious. He hates Trump
hang on,
anyway. You can't stand him.
We're going to check, Carol, listen, while you're talking, we got the signature, and we'll pause it if we can when he holds it up. And we'll see if you're right.
Wrong as well.
He spelled what wrong? Here it comes, guys.
He spelled it the American way.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. Okay, this is let's pause it and see.
yes.
This is my great honour. Okay, honour is American. A great and
yes.
beautiful's correct.
Yeah, beginning.
A new.
Oh
no,
my God.
I don't. Yeah, I think you might be right. His E's are quite flat, though, right?
No, that's an I. That's an I.
Thank you, Yasmin. I love you, Yasmin. Thank you, darling.
But no, if we look at the I at the top, that's different to the I in beginning. So maybe his E's are just quite
No,
flat.
you're just
giving him the rub of the green.
scrabbling around now.
I know. I love the way, even on a day like today, you've got to tell people have got to call him a bad speller. He probably doesn't write very often. You know, we know. He doesn't. It may not matter. That's the key thing. Yeah. But Carol, thanks. We don't. Yeah, beginning with an I after the B. Woo. Thank you for all your calls.
This is a document. This is a vital document. This is the president of the United States.
And you're literally worried about the I's being dotted amidst everything else.
It's pernickety, Yasmin.
Later we'll be asking if Canterbury...
Ignorant man.